Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Vasant Varda. I take care of the customer relationship of the park, and I am privileged to be the MC of today's outreach session of the 9th edition of Defense India Startup Challenge, DISC 9, launched under the Innovations for Defense Excellence iDEX scheme by Ministry of Defense. We appreciate you taking time of your busy schedule to join us for a fruitful and engaging session. Firstly, I would like to invite Colonel Sanjeev Nair, Retd, CEO Technopark, to give the welcome address and set the context for today's session. Sir.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, let me welcome the chief guest of today's event, Brigade Lalit Sharma, Shaurya Chakra, Sena Medal, 91 Infantry Brigade Commander, and he's the station commander of Pangol Military Station, Trivandrum, as well as Kochi. So it's in fact our privilege to have such a decorated officer who has kindly consented to be the chief guest today. It's our honor, sir. And once again, welcome to you. And on behalf of us, we would request you to please accept a small token of love, sir. I would like to welcome the other panelist and my dear friend Shri Anoop, Ambika, who is the CEO of Kerala Startup Mission. I would request Anoop also to please accept a small token of love from all of us. Thank you. So apart from that, we have got a few guest speakers of the dais who will be joining us in a virtual mode. So I would like to welcome them as well. So the first is Ms. Lakshmi Das. She is the co-founder and COO of Prophaze. Dr. Sorav Bansal, he is the Microsoft Chair Professor at Computer Science Department at IIT Delhi. And he is an iDEX winner and he is the founder of Compiler AI Labs. And also Shri K. Rajaguru Nathan, he is the CEO of Astromeda. He is another iDEX winner. And also a very warm welcome to the wonderful audience out here, comprising of officials from armed forces, reps from the startups and IT companies, academy out here, and people who are listening us online. So I welcome them as well. So the session is primarily focused towards making the Kerala IT fraternity, particularly the startups, the MSMEs, the IT companies out here, about the aspects which are there or the challenges which are there in armed forces, and that could become business opportunities for you all. And you all can become budding defense entrepreneurs. So that is the main aspect on which we'll be stressing up on this. And the theme of Defense India Startup Challenge 9, which is part of an iDEX scheme under Ministry of Defense, is cyber defense. And this is an apt scheme for our own ecosystem because, IT is, it flows in our blood, particularly in, Kerala. So it's like a culture. So this is one particular domain which can be explored by most of the startups which are here. So that's why it is of special importance. So today we'll have a session which will comprise of, you will be getting a user perspective from our speaker, and you'll get a flavor of what iDEX as a scheme, the way it facilitates to have, opportunities to address such challenges which come from armed forces. And you'll come to know about the startup ecosystem in Kerala, because they are the ones whom we are expecting that they are going to become the solution providers. And we'll hear views of subject matter experts who are into cyber defense, and also we'll hear the journey of a couple of iDEX winners. So that is all which is packed up today. So with that as a prelude, I'll not take more time, and we'll go on with the proceedings of the day. I now take this opportunity to invite our chief guest, Brigade Lalit Sharma, Shaurya Chakra Sena Medal, to give the keynote address. And before doing that, I want to give a brief introduction of the speaker. So Brigade Lalit Sharma, Shaurya Chakra Sena Medal, was commissioned into 3 Grenadiers. It's an infantry unit in the year 1995. And he passed out from the Officers Training Academy with President's Gold Medal for standing first in the overall order of the merit. He's a highly decorated soldier who has been awarded a Shaurya Chakra for operation in J&K, wherein he was severely wounded with multiple gunshots. He is also a recipient of Sena Medal Gallantry, Chief of Army Staff Commendation, and General Officer Commanding in Sea Commendation. He has tenanted various instructional staff and command appointments in India and abroad. He has the high performance director of Indian Army shooting team in Rio Olympics and various major international events. So we are going to hear the keynote address from such a decorated soldier. We are honored. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for the kind words, firstly. Jai Hind, good morning, namaste. And it brings us great joy to be in such august, enlightened, and invigorating young and old minds together. I wouldn't say young only. It's a proud privilege for us, especially so-called the user of the various technology-driven things. And the very fact that we are all here together bears testimony to the fact that how important this subject is. And in this era of self-reliance, we cannot have everything which we use being imported from outside, as has been the precedence. And as we start discussing things, it is very important for us to see what is happening around us. What is the environmental scan? In all domains. And traditionally, when we talk of war, the large thing that comes to our mind is just the land borders. What is out of the eyes remains out of the sight. Our air domains, our maritime boundaries, our reach of the submarines, our strategic interest, our geopolitical interest. And now as we see how the war are being fought is not land-centric alone. It has reached domains which we classically call the multi-domains, which includes the land, the water, the air, space, information, perception management. And these are some of the fields where the war is being fought. So contrary to the popular belief that it is the armed forces who will be fighting the war, it may not hold true anymore. It is each one of us, as a citizen of a country, we are fighting the war together. And therefore, we arrive to the approach of the whole of nation approach. The recent conflicts and the one which is presently undergoing, the Russia-Ukraine war, more than a year old now. I'm sure most of us have even forgotten about it, and it finds a mention perhaps on the last few pages of the newspaper that we read, because we were not used to the wars being fought for such a long duration. Psychologically and mentally, we accepted that the wars will be short, intense, largely a very attrition-driven war, and will just get over. And now, if we analyze some of the things which are happening, that the war is not alone is being fought across the borders in Russia and Ukraine. And as we touch the domains which we talked about recently, each one of these domains is being exploited by both the adversaries and other belligerents of the war. Some of it is what we see. Most of it we don't see at all. And what we see, perhaps, is the narrative which is being fed to us with various intents put together. So we actually don't know what happens. When we go to the war, how would you know what would happen is also part of what is being fed to you. who fights where, what is going on, which are the weapons being employed. Just to briefly orient you towards what is likely to happen. So we have seen now wars manifesting themselves across domains, and this requires a very niche and very evolving technology to be able to firstly withstand the onslaught of the technology, as also to relentlessly pursue and execute what is the will of the nation, is to win the war for the country. And in doing so, the requirement of the fields in which all of you are working cannot ever be understated. It is a well-known fact that largely our reliance for technology, and specifically for cyber and space-driven technology, has been oriented towards the West. That is despite the fact that the best of our brains are actually going and working there. And it was due to the lack of the infrastructure, perhaps, which was a prohibitive factor, that we could not come out with the solutions that each one of you would have in your mind. And the startup ecosystem, as it grows now, bears testimony to the fact that there's nothing in this world which cannot be conceived, which cannot be put into practice, and which cannot be produced to strengthening the national resolve. Our recent impetus on the Atmanirbharta is governed by the fact that if a nation goes to the war, there won't be time for us to look back. There won't be time for us to seek help from others, to sustain our forces, to sustain our citizens. And the manifestations of war, which the citizens were unaware of, would actually be starting with the citizens themselves. The cyber domain, which remains the very pertinent topic, and that perhaps is the underlying topic of the day, is the domain which is being exploited by our adversary, not only to disrupt the armed forces, but the first few things which would get disrupted would be our banking system, our national power grid, our banking system, our railways, our airways, our road transportation system, anything that we do. And as we have graduated towards digitization for everything else, you can imagine that how uncomfortable we are, even if there's no data available for 10 minutes. And of late, though the internet services have grown in the terms of the quality and the quantity that they are, and now we're in the age of 5G, but you can well imagine that how the reliance of each one of us individually, as a society collectively, and then comes the defense forces, that the kind of weapon systems, the long-range vectors that we have these days, the larger reliance for their strategic guidance and their corrections remain in the domain which is largely influenced by cyber and space. And there is a growing necessity that unless we are self-reliant for these two specific domains, it will be very difficult for us to maintain as what we call the tempo of our operations. And that leaves us with the thought that so much can be done in these domains that we talked about. And we are very happy to note that most of you are aligned towards the thought, which eventually converges to highlight that we are all here with a resolve to strengthen our nation, strengthen our armed forces and to strengthen our citizens. And it is only the citizens of this country who drive, who empower the armed forces, and which results in a very strong nation which can bear any kind of attacks, as we classically say, in any kind of field that we have just talked about. The startup ecosystem is evolutionary in nature. We are conscious of the fact that there are many ideas in your mind which would require interface from the user end. And let me assure you that we all are here to give you the kind of guidance, encouragement, and to define what actually is what we're looking at. Please count us as part of your journey, and wherever we have any infusions which is required, it will be made available. The Indian Armed Forces are at the cusp of modernization, and this is no classified information. It is all available across the open source information. If you talked about the armed forces, the increasing use of drones, RPAs, both armed and unarmed, our ISR capabilities, our reconnaissance, the asymmetry that exists in terms of the parity of the forces. In the air domain, we are well aware that how important it is to have a contiguous communication, enhancing the reach, their guidance. In the naval domain, we are well aware that such huge is the expanse of the Indian Ocean region and the Indo-Pacific, which is now being looked at. So all this would require indigenously thought over and indigenously executed products, so that we remain self-reliant. We don't have to look back on any of the other countries. Many steps have been taken which are very appreciative, and as a whole of the nation approach that we call, in this we are all together, and we would like to place on record our appreciation to each one of you to be giving such kind of thought, energy, and the innovative mind that you come out with such practical. And most of this, we've been very privy to going to the DEF Expo, as well as the Aero India show, where we interacted with some of the very bright youngsters. And largely one thing which I could relate was the passion which drives them to come out with this innovation. So we salute the passion that each one of you carry. And I would urge that you must carry it with all your heart, and you will certainly find a way. And let me assure you that not only the startup ecosystem, but the armed forces collectively are very, very appreciative of the fact that you all are there to support us and to empower us. And we deeply value and encourage such kind of ideas and innovation. And as I was talking to the CEO of the startup, that while we are here, it will be a privilege to encourage some of you who would be specifically looking at defense-oriented startups, and to empower you with very practical ideas, not only from our perspective, but from the perspective of the last man on the ground, as to how would he like to exploit it to his tactical advantage. So that remains to be seen. Towards the end, what inspires us are very, very basic thing. Firstly, the innovation draws inspiration from nature. It is biomimicry. The drones that we see, the flights that we see in the night, the kind of animals, insects, whatever we see eventually gets manifested in some machine or the other. Also, the fact that our country is proud of the legacy that we had. Over a period of time, it could not eventually fructify into the technically advanced product. But let us also give a thought that as a nation, we had a very well-structured, researched, documented, and practiced portions of medicine, astrology, science, technology, astronomy, and you name it. There is a structured document which exists with us. We must draw inspiration from the literature that we have, from the legacy we'll have, and it may end up providing a very simple solution to the complex situations which you encounter while coming out with your innovations. So please feel empowered. Look within yourself, around you, and you will see that the entire ecosystem is there for you to innovate and subsequently to integrate towards the nation building process. I would like to thank the CEO, who's been extremely kind, and we have a very good team of officers, including 2 of our commanding officers who are here with us. So that understates and underlines the importance we give to this kind of forum, not only for the occasion which is here today, but let me assure you, in the times that are lined up ahead, we'll be there, we'll be doing whatever that requires you to come out with the idea that can change our lives collectively. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir, for the enlightening address, giving the perspective of the armed forces and the need of the hour to have technology enablers in support of the armed forces. Now, I would like to draw everyone's attention onto the big screen, where the launch video of the DISC-9 will be displayed. The DISC-9 video was launched by the Honorable Minister of Defense, Shri Rajnath Singh, during the Aero India 2023 at Bangalore on 15th February 2023. Yeah.
Launched by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi in 2018, iDEX. A pioneer in innovating and developing cutting-edge technologies for armed forces in land, sea and sky. iDEX has built a strong innovation ecosystem in the defense sector. It is now expanding its ambit to tackle national security in the critical domains of space and cyber. With the new age of digitization, cybersecurity threats and challenges are not limited to the digital world, but have become a matter of national security. To mitigate the security risks and develop next-gen technologies, iDEX is launching cyber security themed Disk 9 with the aim to ensure confidentiality and integrity of data in systems. These challenges span over a wide range of advanced technology domains. Indian Army with 3 challenges. Indian Navy with 3 challenges. Indian Air Force with 7 challenges. Bharat Electronics Limited with 3 challenges. Midhani with 2 challenges. GRSE, MDL, BEML with 1 challenge each. Further strengthening the iDEX initiative, the Ministry of Home Affairs has also brought 7 challenges through the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center. iDEX extends an open invitation to innovators, startups, and MSMEs to build a secure and resilient cyberspace for the nation. For more details, visit idex.gov.in.
Next, I would like to request Colonel Sanjeev Nair, CEO Technopark, to give an insight into the iDEX scheme and DISC 9. Colonel Sanjeev Nair, Retd, is an accomplished Army veteran from Corps of Signals with more than 21 years of experience in the Army, handling ICT operations and project management, and currently is the CEO of Technopark. Based on his previous experience being part of Defense Innovation Organization, iDEX, he is going to speak about iDEX scheme and DISC 9. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vasant. So today's topic for me is on iDEX scheme, because I was associated with iDEX. Before coming here, I was a program director there for 2 years. So based on that, I thought this is a wonderful occasion to give you an insight about what is DIO and iDEX. So I'll be using a small presentation to give you an insight about that. Next. So iDEX stands for Innovation for Defense Excellence. So it is a scheme which is funded and managed by an organization called as Defense Innovation Organization. It's a Section 8 company, it's an NPO, which is functionally under Department of Defense Production, Ministry of Defense. This was launched in 2018 by the Honorable Prime Minister. It was a very, very visionary thought. In fact, this was the brainchild of the previous Defense Secretary, Dr. Ajay Kumar. And you all would be happy to know that he's a Kerala cadre IAS officer who was an IT secretary also here. So this was his brainchild when he was Secretary Defense Production. And it was launched in 2018 by the Honorable Prime Minister. So iDEX has a dual aim. So the first aim is to nurture and foster defense entrepreneurs. They have to get into this particular segment. So that was the first aim. And second aim was that it should meet the requirement of the users, meet the requirement of armed forces to give them cutting edge technologies. So this was the dual aim based on which this iDEX was formed. What does iDEX do? It does funding, and I'll come on to the concept of co-creation and co-development which happens in this complete framework. And it believes in rapid prototyping. So the time span given for developing a prototype is 24 months. Reason being, that it has to meet the operational requirement of armed forces as soon as possible before any technology becomes obsolete. So the belief is that the product has to come up within a span of 24 months. Next. So when we talk about iDEX framework, so these are the 4 major entities which are part of iDEX. So what you see onto the 2 extremes are the most important entities. So first one is the services, defense public sector undertakings and other nodal agencies who are the nodal agency who gives out these challenges. They are the one who are the challenge owners. And what you see onto the extreme right, the startup ecosystem is the entity from which we in armed forces are looking for solutions. So they are the 2 important players in this complete framework. And what you see in the between, that is the iDEX as well as the partner incubators. So they act like facilitators. iDEX carries out the complete program management, which includes the funding and all sort of coordination with all stakeholders. So that is the primary function of iDEX. It has got a wonderful team out there in Delhi. Partner incubators are actually the incubation centers from all the premier institutes in the country like IITs, IICs, and even there are a few private incubators as well. So their role is basically to mentor these startups and also to evaluate the technical progress of whatever startups are doing for this particular scheme. So if you see, this is a complete co-creation and co-development package. And there are 2 major flagship programs which run under iDEX. The first one is Defense India Startup Challenge, which is abbreviated as DISC. In fact, today we are having the 9th edition of that. prior to this, we had already 8th edition. The last edition was focusing on the space segment in defense. So in this current thing, it is actually focusing on cyber defense. So what does DISC mean? DISC is a scheme in which we get the challenges from the armed forces. We get challenges from Army, Air Force, Navy, and seeing how this particular program is becoming a success story. Even Ministry of Home Affairs have started using this particular platform. So they give us the challenge, and under iDEX, it is given an outreach. It is initially launched. So the DISC 9 was launched in February this year itself by the Honorable Raksha Mantri. And now what we are doing is giving an outreach session so that the environment comes to know that such a scheme has been launched. So after that, we look for solutions from the startups. So this is the scheme of DISC. The second scheme is called as Open Challenge. So Open Challenge is the reverse process, wherein if a startup or an MSME feels that, okay, I have got a product or a prototype which is in proof of concept stage, and he feels that, okay, I should pitch in, I should tell the environment that I have got a product which would be beneficial to armed forces, so they can take this route. So this is the other route. And the third one that you see is called as iDEX Prime. That is a recent scheme which was launched last year. That is primarily meant for challenges which has got a bigger scope and where the financial implications are more. So that's how this complete schemes run. Next slide. So this is the same thing put across in a different way. So the ultimate aim is to foster the defense startup ecosystem. So when I spoke about the funding part given by iDEX, so this is given in form of a grant, and that grant is called a SPARK grant. SPARK stands for Support for Prototyping and Research Kickstart. So this is the grant which is given to the iDEX winners. So the budget allocation is around 1.5 crores or half of the total product development budget. I'll speak about the other half of the budget. So whichever is lesser, that is what is being given to the iDEX winner. So this is the first scheme as far as DISC is concerned. The same scheme is applied for Open Challenge as well. The budget, maximum budget is 1.5 crores or half of the total product development budget. iDEX Prime, as I mentioned earlier, it has got a bigger scope. So the budget goes to 10 crores or half of the total product development budget, whichever is lesser. As far as the management of the program is concerned, all three schemes work in the similar fashion. Matching contribution is something wherein, when I spoke about the half of the product development budget, the other half of the product development budget has to come from the startups or the MSMEs. There is a reason to that. Because in the scheme, we want the skin in the game. Because this particular initiative is actually aligned with prototype development, because it is not just mere research and development and then it dies down. At the end of the day, iDEX is looking for solutions wherein a prototype comes up and it could be utilized for the armed forces. And why this is a win-win story is because the market is already there. Because if any startup who is venturing into this, he makes a successful product, you will definitely get an order. Because iDEX figures in DAP 2020. Defense Acquisition Procedure 2020, which is the Bible of defense procurement. So that's why market is already there. So any success story, you will definitely get an order. Mode of applications, I've already mentioned. So you've got a DISC, which is a normal way wherein the challenges come from armed forces and you can pitch in. Open Challenge, wherein you feel that there is a solution with you and you want to project it to the armed forces. The iDEX platform showcases it to all the three services and MHA. And third is iDEX Prime, wherein if it has a higher scope, then it can be pitched in like that. Ultimate aim is to have Atmanirbharta, because this is one thing which is top driven right at the national level. So that is a focus point, because we do a lot of imports in armed forces. So we want to cut down that particular aspect. So that's why this drive is there. Yeah, next slide. Just to give you an update about the workflow, how does the system work? So initially the problem statements come from the armed forces. It goes for a fair amount of curation, and then it is given a launch, the launch which we saw in Aero India recently for this particular DISC 9, and subsequently it is given an outreach, and we look for applications coming in from the startups. And once the application comes in, there is a fair amount of shortlisting been done, and then it has been evaluated by a high power steering committee, which comprises of a chairman who is equivalent to a 2-star general or equivalent, and the user agency will be there who has given the challenge, plus iDEX team will be there. There will be a member from the academia, and there will be a member from the public sector undertaking and an industry rep. So it's a complete big team which evaluates the complete proposal. And after that, once the winner is declared, then that particular entity or the startup never remains as a separate entity. They're not called as a vendor. They become part of the iDEX team. So that's why I said when we say co-creation and co-development, the process includes the moment iDEX winner has been declared, he becomes or she becomes part of the team. In the sense, he gets access to almost all the defense related labs. He or she starts getting guidance in terms of quality assurance, because DGQA and DGAQA also gets aligned with this. And plus the nodal agency from where the challenge has come, they will be periodically checking how the product is getting developed, and they will be giving their advices also as far as the functional requirement is concerned. And similarly, the partner incubators who are like the mentors to the startups, they also will be guiding them, particularly on the technology development as well as the business model. So if you see, it's a complete package once a winner is declared. Yeah, next slide. So this is the iDEX advantage, again showcased in a different way. So the ecosystem access, I already spoken about co-creation and co-development. What does that entail? Grant system, once the grant has been allocated, the grant dispersal happens, it's actually on the portal. The clearances happen very fast. IP always remains with the startup. Nobody is going to claim your IP, because iDEX scheme actually, they encourage startups. The IP always remains with the startup. It will never be asked for. Commercialization, this is the most important aspect which I would like to re-emphasize again. Unlike other schemes, there is a market in iDEX, wherein if you are a success story, definitely you will get an order. The first, second and third edition of DISC, which has matured now, they have already got the RFP. Initially it has started off as a sample procurement, so that there is no loss with the startup, because whatever efforts they have put in, it is actually recognized, and initially an order has been given, and after that there will be a bulk order if they find that the system is working perfectly, meeting the requirements of armed forces. So that's why I emphasize the market is already there. So this is a wonderful initiative, wonderful opportunity for our startup ecosystem to venture into this. And when I was in iDEX, I have observed that the number of startups which have ventured into iDEX scheme from Kerala was very, very less. There were only 3 or 4 startups which I can just name out, like IRO or HW Design, which are incubator under Mika Village. So there were only few startups which had actually taken the advantage of this. So there is an avenue there. Please utilize this. And of course, we showcase all the startups during various national expos like Aero India and Def Expo. And even whenever a foreign delegation comes to the country, but particularly the military delegation, it is showcased to them as well. Next. If numbers matter, so there are 20 nodal agencies which I have already mentioned, Army, Air Force, Navy, and we have got all the DPSUs which are there, Defense Public Sector Undertakings, and the Ministry of Home Affairs. So these are 20 odd nodal agencies from where we get the challenges. Partner incubators, the incubation centers, we have got 19 of them, pan-India, most of them from the premier institutes in the country like IIT, IISc, and few of private incubation centers. Open challenges, we have already got more than 1,000 plus applications. As far as DISC is concerned, more than 6,000 applications and 1,500 shortlisted. And as on date, 200 plus contracts have been signed. So that means there are already 200 startups already working on this, which includes the success stories which were there initially during the first, second and third edition. Next. Applying for disk is fairly very simple. You have to go to the website of iDEX, iDEX.gov.in. The moment you click, there is a place which says disk challenges. Click onto that, you will land up in disk 9. Click that disk 9, you will find there are 28 challenges being listed there. It has got a video content and it has got a PDF file as well, so you can go through the challenges. Remember, these are all challenges, so it will not be given in so much of detail, because we are looking for solutions from the startups. So whatever solutions or the concepts that you're sharing, based upon that, there will be a next level of evaluation as well. So uploading your application is very easy. You have to give your credentials, a deck, and also your product solution or whatever is there in your mind. The thing is that whenever you're putting across a solution, make it in such a way that it creates or makes you feel that it's a use case which can be of immense utility to armed forces. And you can add more credentials in terms of, if you have done any simulation work or anything like that, please add on to that, because that is how it is going to be evaluated. Make a serious effort to make your document and upload it. It is as simple as that. Next. And since disk 9 has already been launched, the time of submitting the application is 24th of March, which might get extended. It's a normal trend, it might get extended, but as on date, it is 24th of March. So if you've got any queries, because the thing is that you should go through each of these challenges, figure out which challenge would be the most apt one wherein you can try it out. And based on that, if you've got any queries, you can raise the query on the portal itself. It has got a ticker running on that. You can click onto that and give your query, whichever is there. Be crisp, clear with the query. Subsequently, even they will make you interact with the challenge owner also to have further clarification, and accordingly submit your application. Next. So this is my last slide. So this is a snapshot which was made by Anoop only. So it gives a snapshot of parks as well as startup ecosystem in one slide. If you see, there are about more than 1,000 plus companies which are there in the complete IT parks. And similarly, we have got a startup ecosystem which is more than 3,900 plus. So we have got a vibrant ITS community out here. Please do pitch in for the cyber defense challenges. And I would also mention that just don't limit itself to cyber defense challenges. If you have got some thought process or a proof of concept to address any type of challenges in armed forces, be it anything related to medical or any flavor, try the open challenge route. That open challenge route is actually meant for if you have got something very innovative which might not be known to the forces, please pitch in through that route. It will be sent to all the 3 armed forces, and there have been good results from open challenge route. Because at times we are in a state wherein, being from the armed forces, we also can't think. So you are the thinkers. Please bring out that idea and then you can pitch in this. So that is the wonderful initiative of the scheme. And I would love to take the questions at the end. Thank you.
That was a really very informative insight into iDEX scheme, sir, and would be beneficial for the Kerala IT ecosystem, particularly the startups, micro, small, medium enterprises, innovators, to explore business opportunities in the defense sector through these national level schemes under Ministry of Defense. Next, we have the speaker who needs no introduction. He is Shri Anoop, who has been a serial entrepreneur, a technology enthusiast, and a co-founder of several technology startups. Currently, he is the Chief Executive Officer of Kerala Startup Mission. Under his leadership, Kerala Startup Mission is scaling new heights, and now he will be giving us an insight into the startup ecosystem in Kerala. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vasant. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Brigadier Lalit Sharma. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us today. It's indeed a pride and privilege, as I was telling you. Personally, I haven't shook hands with a brigadier ever in my life. So if I'm a little tensed and excited, please pardon me. Sanjeev, CEO of Technopark, thank you for inviting me today. Just to be on a lighter note, I have known Sanjeev for the last 2 months, 3 months now? 3 months. I've never seen him. Geeta was telling me that we have never seen Sir so happy after he joined Technopark. So when you're in the company of your own men, I think you feel, you know, once an army man, always an army man. So Sanjeev, you can see him, I mean, frankly speaking, I haven't seen him so pleasant and so excited in the last 3 months. So thanks, and it's a very, very interesting event that we have today. And we had a very excellent presentation about iDEX. I didn't know that such big opportunities existed. And as part of this, I was actually looking at the Disk 9 challenges today morning. And indeed, very, very interesting challenges where we will be able to work with. So we have the Chief Executive Officer of Group of Technology Companies. And one of the first things that we want to highlight is that this is not only restricted to startups. We have around 4,000 plus startups in the state. But as I can see it, it is open for the MSMEs as well as the startups, as well as innovators, individual innovators, which means universities or research institutes who would want to participate. So I think Vishal and team, from the Startup Mission team, I think one thing that I would request you to do is to sensitize this whole challenge among the entire fraternity that we have so that we have more participation that is coming in. But just to give, I forgot your name, but in our interactions, this young officer used the word civilian lethargy. That was a very interesting, it was a very interesting word because first you need to get it. One of the things that you do in the armed forces, I'm assuming, is that you need to get rid of that civilian lethargy and get into a mode of discipline, both physical fitness as well as mental fitness and hard work and things like that. I think that is a good word to be given to the startups also, because you need to get out of that lethargy of not exploring the options around you. That is where, until you know this information, you have no idea that such opportunities exist, right? Once you know that these opportunities exist, this is going to be an extremely good conduit by which you will be able to get to Atmanirbhar Bharat, wherein you will be able to build things for the country. Because one of the biggest things, Sridhar Vembu, the CEO of Zoho Corporation, which is a $1 billion revenue corporation. I mean, we often hear the word unicorns all over the country. But there are only very few companies who have turned profitable out of that unicorns. And Zoho is a company which has clocked revenues of $1 billion. That is around 8,200 crores in revenue, not valuation. Sridhar was saying, and we had a panel discussion, a fireside chat, and we kept on saying how we are the consumers. Consumers of the products from the Western world, or the developed world as we call it. And he was just simply saying that you look around, when you are in a conference in a room, you look around at all the electronics that you have. And probably 70% or 80% of that will be imported from another country. You look at the digital world, you are the consumers. The phone that Vishal is using to, videotape me right now is an imported phone. The WhatsApp that we are using to communicate between me and Sanjeev is technology that is developed outside. The Instagram, wherein I try to find out what my son is doing, is an imported, piece of technology. So we keep on consuming what is being produced by the rest of the world, and we need to convert ourselves into producers, and that is how we will become a stronger economy as a country. And I personally believe that this opportunity, because government in all countries is one of the biggest spenders, right? And we have programs like Government as a Marketplace, wherein we help the startups to get to the government without a tender. And I'm just understanding that, armed forces gives us a similar opportunity. That is, if you're part of the iDEX, then the force will be able to procure that solution without a tendering process, the regular tendering process, which is a huge opportunity for a startup to actually develop a system and have that, adopted by a customer. And, which better customer than the forces, because you need everything. You need quality, you need timeliness, you need cost effectiveness, you need precision, because otherwise the armed forces is not going to adopt. I can, like we were talking today morning, you know, we can develop a rifle, but for the soldier to use it in the field, it needs to go to a level which is like world class, right? So we can actually develop world class products using this engagements. And with that, I'll just get into a few things which I think we'll be able to contribute. So drone forensics is something. We have a few drone companies that are based out of Kerala. I think there are like 5 or 6 the last time we took the list. A few drone companies, most of which I see the problem as, you know, it's a 70% developed technology, right? You still need to get to the field and get that finish to the product so that you have more flying time. You know, you have probably larger capacity that you can carry as a drone, more use cases that you would be able to do as part of services that you could think of, which you can do in a disaster zone using the drone, right? So how do we get to a place where we refine our hardware into an ecosystem wherein we'll be able to use that same drone technology for multiple use cases? We can actually definitely work on that. We have a whole bunch of cybersecurity companies. Lakshmi is going to be speaking a little later, but I can see Rajesh from Mirox and MyBiz. I can see MyBiz also being represented. So there are like 5 or 6 companies that is based out of Trivandrum itself, which is exclusively working on cybersecurity technologies. And we have a cyber dome that is run by the government of Kerala under the Home Department, which is spearheaded by Manoj Abraham, IPS, who's now the ADGP, DGP Vigilance, ADGP Vigilance, yeah. So there is a lot of work that is being done in cybersecurity, both on the public sector as well as the private sector. Sir, we would like to actually engage more with the officers, the force, and see how we could actually refine some of those things. So drone is one area, cybersecurity is another area. And the third interesting piece that I saw is a industry revolution 4.0, IR 4.0 technologies without Wi-Fi in shipyard, right? I think we have some great companies who's working on that industrial automation / IoT space. And we will be able to engage and use that technology in order to make this IR 4.0 revolution happening. And if we can do it in the shipyard, then we can do it across the country in multiple of the warehouses that the armed forces have. Then there is this larger technology place, which is around natural language processing. So you have this encrypted messages that is coming to you. You have the large amount of documents that is coming to you. You have these websites that are changing its form and shape due to a ransomware attack or a hacker, right? All these things can be predicted using the natural language algorithms and the predictive models that we can develop. And we have a handful of companies who are working on the processing of what is called the unstructured data and analyzing and generating insights out of it. So which means that I have a website and that website changes its form and shape, immediately you will get an alert so that there is no embarrassment for the country in front of the rest of the world. Those sort of applications can be easily developed. From a data transfer and USB device perspective, I'm pretty certain that, you know, one of the common challenges that has been put up in the DIS9 challenge is I put a USB, take the data and walk away, right? That is not something that can be enabled. You need to put protection into it. It can be easily done, right, with some policies and things in place. So a cybersecurity company will be able to easily solve that challenge. Then there is this interesting challenge of voice recognition to identify spams, which is more like a research problem. Like if somebody is calling and telling you about a credit card payment that you need to make in order to do something, and if you can identify that as a fishy phone call, then that is a very interesting area that we could work on. But yeah, generally, I mean, there are a lot more, but I'm not going to bore you with that. There are quite a few challenges that we could solve as companies. And Vishnu, that is where the GTech needs to get involved, because I know for a fact that there is an excellent document management system that is being used by the entire state as part of OSPIN. And OSPIN can actually directly contribute into this document management challenge, right? So similarly, I'm sure that the larger companies also have solutions that we will be able to deploy. So we will work alongside with GTech and the rest of the companies in the ecosystem and make sure that we have got more representation into the iDEX challenge to begin with. I will stop with one request, which I've already made to Brigadier Sub. We want to establish what is called a defense. Two things we want to establish. One might be a little far-fetched. The first one is a defense innovation zone, wherein we will create a co-creation space or a space in which we will be able to, like I said, I'm shaking hands with the Brigadier for the first time in my life. For that matter, when I think back, I haven't even shaken hands with a lieutenant in my entire life, right? I've only seen soldiers from far away with admiration, that is all. But I think we need to create a space where we need to come together. The startups can, the students or the research institutes can interact with the officers and try and get some ideas from the officers themselves who are going to be the ultimate users of the system, so that better co-creation exercises happen. So we would like to propose, we'll give a formal proposal, a defense innovation zone, wherein we'll be able to put together these ideas along with the practitioners and see how we'd be able to evolve. The second thing is we are mooting an idea of what is called a regulatory free zone, which is an innovation zone. So it will be like an island wherein you could play around with the drones and, if you want to shoot, you can shoot. If you want to drop something, you can drop. That sort of a regulatory free zone is something that we are internally thinking about. I mean, there's a lot of opposition for that, but that is also something that defense could supplement. And it can be a model for the entire country, wherein the innovations for the entire armed forces can come to that particular island and start, testing. And it'll be a very interesting thing to watch. And we could even have students come and look at those experiments and get excited about this whole thing. Because as youngsters, we used to go to Tumba and see that rocket going up. And it used to, excite us like crazy. And we can do the similar thing along with the armed forces if we can create a regulatory free zone. With that, I would also give a snapshot of the Kerala startup ecosystem. We now have around 4,000 companies plus, 4,000 plus companies as part of the ecosystem. We have 5 offices. We have 23 fab labs wherein we'll be able to digitally design and develop products, prototypes, etc. We have 1 super fab lab that is based out of Cochin, which is going to be basically a foundation stone for the digital fabrication ecosystem of the state. And we work with 425 colleges through what is called the Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Development Cells. We also have a research innovation network of Kerala through which we kind of take research from the institutes and try to translate that into products. These are some of the things that we do. I would like to wind up by saying that Brigadier Sub, I'm told, is a big fan of Kalari. So somebody sent me a message today morning that, he is a big fan of Mahesh Gurugal. Dr. Arun Surendran from Trinity College was sending me a message today morning that, when you meet him, please tell him that, I'm also a student of Kalari. But as a person who admires the local culture, as a person who's trying, and he was very receptive to all our ideas. Thank you, sir, for coming here today. And thank you, Sanjeev, for inviting me here today on this great, joyous occasion. And I wish the iDEX program the very best, and we will work. It's not going to be the end of the story with this meeting, but we will work towards the next step that will be to take this association forward and also ensure better participation as part of the iDEX challenges. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Anoop, for sharing your thoughts, knowledge, ongoing activities, and future aspirations for Kerala Startup Mission. It was really informative and very engaging. Thank you. The next speaker we have is a cybersecurity expert who will be joining us virtually. She is Ms. Lakshmi, co-founder and chief operating officer of Prophaze Technologies Private Limited. A computer science engineer, she began her professional journey at Infosys and has over a decade of experience working in various industries like cybersecurity, healthcare, retail, and logistics. Her expertise lies in data security and understanding of international regulations, and hence she will be talking about cybersecurity in defense today. Over to Ms. Lakshmi Das, stage is yours.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, yes, you are audible.
I'm audible, right? Yeah? Okay, fine. So first of all, thank you for that wonderful introduction. So very good morning to Anoop sir and Lalit Sharma sir and Sanjeev Nair sir. So, and a big thank you for inviting me for this session. And because at presently we are at JISEC 2023 in Dubai, so where we could see a quite number of good Indian cybersecurity companies exhibiting their platforms to the Dubai ecosystem. So this is something that we can be really proud of because there's a lot of potential in the Indian cybersecurity system. So I'm here to talk about the role of cybersecurity in defense. So firstly, to address that, I would like to address the role of AI in the defense. So basically, AI and machine learning algorithms is used to better anticipate resource and requirements and also associate costs for the missions and training exercises. And they provide real-time information and quick assessment to actually improve the mission outcomes and also protect the people, assets, and the information, so especially in the defense sector. And the world, as we all know, is actually getting more complicated than ever before, and even the cyber attacks and the cyber strategies is actually evolving day by day. Threats are also evolving, more, and it's becoming more complicated. And AI and information processing tools will actually play a very instrumental role in actually helping the defense sector in taking the right decisions and also to secure their ecosystem. So basically, applying AI within the military will actually come with a unique set of challenges because it's actually collecting a huge amount of data. And also it means that considering the security of data, where it is stored and who has access to all these data becomes a major concern. So as it was already told about, the Russian, the war, the Russia-Ukraine war. So basically now the world is actually, going to a cyber warfare more than the physical mode of warfare, because towards the beginning, it all comes to the cyber securities, the systems, everything being hacked into, and the power grid, everything actually goes for a treat, because the cyber security systems will be attacked as an initial step for any warfare. So this is something that we have to address, be it irrespective of the nation it belongs to. So basically, to stress upon the role of cybersecurity, so we all know that the human and the AI have been actually collaborating to detect and prevent breaches for quite some time. And mostly all the organizations are still in the early stages of cyber AI. So this is something that we have to bring in innovative technologies, because the iDEX challenge focuses a lot more on the role of AI in the defense sector. And AI can be incorporated into the cybersecurity tools, and this can, so that it can be used to evaluate and help secure the web applications, or all kind of tool, all the system defense ecosystem, both on-premise and even on the cloud services. Because in the defense, it's mostly on-prem security that's actually being called for, and this needs specialized solutions for securing the same. And this is something that we also do. So recently, while we were engaging with the Indian Army, so we understood that there's a scarcity of Indian solutions addressing these specialized use cases. And in the defense, it can become a serious security flaw if the data is actually processed outside the country. So as the others actually mentioned, because we are, as a country, we've been depending a lot of on importing a lot of solutions, especially in the software sector. So this is something that we cannot afford to do in the cybersecurity space, because if the data is actually processed outside the country, then while depending on these foreign products for cybersecurity, the security of the whole nation is actually on stake. So that's the innovation challenges, like the 28 use cases that's actually mentioned in the iDEX. It becomes a very it takes like a very pivotal role. So I would urge all the the innovators, the MSMEs, the startups to actually take part in this iDEX challenge, which is a wonderful set of 28 use cases and into each sectors in the defense. And this is something that can bring out the help tap the the untapped talent in the the Indian MSMEs and the startups, and it's a very good opportunity for all of you. So, And I'm really grateful for the iDEX, the group to actually come out with these use cases so that, it actually promotes and it'll help, develop the ecosystem of cybersecurity in India. So that's something that I would like to address today. And so let's together build a secure and cyber resilient ecosystem, and buckle up to actually bring out more innovative solutions so that we will never have to depend on any of the foreign solutions to secure our data, and towards Atmanirbharta with all hands together. And so let's ensure the security, the data is secure within our country and we have very good innovative solutions coming from our own country. So thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Ms. Lakshmi, for the wonderful session and for sharing your thoughts on cyber security, particularly in defense segment. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Sorav Bansal, Microsoft Chair Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Delhi, who will be joining virtually to take us through his journey as an iDEX winner. He works in the area of programming languages and operating systems. His primary research interests involve investigating super optimization based compiler design. He graduated from IIT Delhi and holds a doctorate from Stanford University. He is the founder of the startup Compiler AI Labs, and is an iDEX Open Challenge winner of the Indian Air Force Challenge. Over to you, Dr. Bansal.
Thank you very much. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I enjoyed all the talks that happened before me. So thank you very much. Yes, I am a faculty member at IIT Delhi for the last 13 years around, and I've been working in the area of compiler validation. So the problem is that if you generally program in source code, and then there is an optimizing compiler that converts this source code to an executable machine code. And these compilers are incredibly complex pieces of software, and they've been increasing in complexity over the years because of the optimization logic that goes into them. So a modern compiler would easily be 18 to 20 million lines of code. So it's not surprising that compilers have bugs. Most of us think that compilers don't have bugs, but they actually, every month, many bugs get filed against compilers. So if you're doing some kind of safety critical, mission critical scenario, especially if it's an adversarial scenario, such as found in defense, aerospace, automobile, railways, energy, cyber security. So you cannot just, trust a compiler, which you take off the shelf. So our research over the last 10 plus years has basically been looking at this problem and developing a tool that validates the machine code against the source code to see whether the compiler actually did the correct job or not. And this is a formal verification proof, which means that if it says yes, then you can be sure that the executable is safe to execute and ship into your aeroplane or something like that. So this is because this is a research-based project. I applied as an individual innovator in 2019. It took around 6 months or 1 year for the whole evaluation process to go through. And then I received this iDEX. I was declared the winner of the iDEX Open Challenge 1.0. The Open Challenge basically stands for a challenge where the applicant proposes the problem and also proposes a solution. So I proposed the problem because it wasn't part of any challenge that came from the forces. It was proposed by me. And they examined and checked with their own officers whether this problem is actually an actual problem that they have, and then they choose what it is. So the iDEX journey has been very, very nice because it has helped me and our team basically get visibility and access to the software development wings of the Indian Air Force and the defense forces in general, and we are very much looking forward to delivering our products to them. And we have so far closed milestone 2, and we are progressing towards closing milestone 3. There are a total of 5 milestones in this iDEX journey. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. If you have any questions, I can answer it. Otherwise, I'll just pass on to the next speaker.
Yep. Thank you, Dr. Bansal, because we have a queries session towards the last. So if you can stay back, then that will be wonderful. So, thank you, Dr. Bansal, for your inspiring journey in iDEX. It's noteworthy that faculty members of premier institutes are reaping the advantages of iDEX scheme. The combination of academia and entrepreneurship will work wonders in all segments. I would like to invite Shri K. Rajaguru, co-founder and CEO of Astromeda Space Private Limited, to share his journey in iDEX. Shri Rajaguru has more than 13 years of research and entrepreneurship experience in aerospace engineering. He got the Inventor Award, Engineers Engineer Award, and Technology Excellence Award during his initial stint with GE. He has won 3 patents as an inventor. He is a serial entrepreneur and a winner of iDEX Disc 4 Challenge of the Indian Air Force. He is joining virtually. Over to you, Shri K. Rajaguru.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity as well as the warm introduction. So I would like to share a small presentation so that I can share my journey with you guys actually. So I just see from the beginning, I think Colonel Sanjeev Nair sir gave a lot of introduction about the disc challenges and the associated opportunities while we were encountering into these disc challenges. I'm just wanted to show the other side of it, like user view of the disc challenge as a winner. So how we can able to crack this disc innovation challenge and what kind of opportunity you will get if you crack this challenge. That's what I wanted to share with you as my journey in this challenge actually. So we actually this challenges are meant to give you a lot of insights to serve as an opportunity for the defense innovations and selling your products to the defense directly. This is a direct opportunity that your innovations can be used by our defense forces. So there are 3 challenge formats. So one is disc as well as open challenge and iDEX Prime as mentioned by our CEO actually. So there are 2 things. Usually it goes in 2 rounds. Round 1 is an online application where you have to apply through online, and this is the crucial line. Mostly you will get almost hundreds to 200 plus for each challenge actually, number of applications. And out of these applications, only top 10%, I would say top 10% will be selected for the next round. So your first online application is very crucial for you to get into this, to make sure that you work very hard in applying through online. Take it as a serious. I'll tell you what are the things you have to take into account while you are applying for these online applications actually. And the next round would be HPSC, where you will be the top 10% of the team will be presenting to a high-powered selection committee. The committee will be selecting the best team to whom the awards or the grant will be granted. So usually they select 1 or 2, maximum 2 or 3 awardees in each disc challenges actually. So you have to be very precise in working on this online as well as while presentation. So usually your content would be consist of innovation title, product details. So you have to clearly mention your technology advantages and product advantages and capabilities, competencies, and commercial advantages. So these are all the areas you need to focus while you are creating your online application for this program. And this give you an edge over applying for this DISC 9 security awareness. So you take care of, mainly while you're applying online, you give more weightage on this technology advantage and product advantage, which gives a lot of insights for the selector to select how your product is going good with that actually. So you have to be give caution while you are taking your product, technology advantage and product advantages. And you have to see specifically how you can connect it with the use cases in the army, and how you can give a sustainable product which will help directly to get into the army. If you have done any product prototype or a proof of concept, please include the prototype and proof of concept, which is also very much important to get into this actually. So these are all the areas you need to concentrate while you are getting into this, especially on this commercial advantage, product advantage, and give just to give very small introduction of portfolio of the company. Focus more on the technology and commercial aspect of your product. So considering that, these are all the selection criteria they'll be doing. So they will screen your like applications for relevance, comprehensiveness, innovation, and also there are two criteria like the capability and viability. So they will be like selecting your application based on the 6 viable things, and you have to make sure that your application fit in with all these requirements. So now I would like to share my journey with this DISC 4 actually. So we are developing an in-flight health monitoring system for our Indian Air Force in DISC 4. So we are developing this health monitoring while the Air Force is in flight actually. We all know that the fighter pilots are exposed to extreme G forces, and there is no system currently available like how they are stressed or how their human vitals are changing with respect to different G forces acting on the plane. So we are working on developing this product for our Indian Air Force actually. See, the beauty of this DISC challenge, as soon as we started developing this product for our Indian Air Force, we have an opportunity to develop this product and for the same application for many occupational health applications actually. So it is not only defense. When you innovate for the defense, you have another subsequently so many applications you can apply this for the other use cases. So your product not only like successful in defense as well as you can make your company successful commercially as well. So iDEX gave me a lot of advantage to develop this product, which gave us a lot of commercial advantage in the later stages also, as we are we have 100% ownership of the IP. You have a lot of liberty to use your innovations in the other applications. So take this opportunity, apply for iDEX, you will get a lot of other commercial viabilities and opportunity. Defense is a niche market, but by working with the defense, you can develop cutting edge technology and product actually. And mainly like that will give a lot of insights for you. See, these kind of platforms we never get in your life. We got a chance to talk to and present our product to Honorable Defense Minister. Once we started our demonstration to Honorable Defense Ministers, we have an opportunity to connect to Honorable Telecommunication Minister. So through the Telecommunication Minister, this product, they have found that there is an application in telehealth scenario. So we got an opportunity to present to this Honorable Minister of Health. So we have finally got a chance to present to Honorable Prime Minister. So all these extended opportunity, we won't get any other platform other than iDEX actually. So this is a wonderful opportunity for you guys to grow in an ecosystem, which definitely will guide you, help you, innovate, as well as take you to a greater heights. So take this opportunity and do your best. So we are in wonderful hands of iDEX and DAO members, and also our defense officials. They will definitely support us, handhold us, and make us a successful venture. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I'll be open for any questions.
Thank you, Shri K. Rajaguru Nathan, for giving us a feel of your fabulous journey with iDEX as an innovator and inventor in the aerospace segment. So the session has come to an end, and the panelists are often open to taking queries, if any. You can use the mics. Someone.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please go.
My name is Hari Kumar. I'm a journalist. 2 questions. One is to Sanjeev. Funding in this thing. A couple of deep tech firms right here in Trivandrum who has got order from DRDO are struggling to raise funds for the working capital. You get the grant when you get this thing, but to develop that product, they have to work for 6 months or 8 months, and only when you deliver this one, you get the money. There's no, somehow it's like phased out payments. Is there a way to meet their problems? One, and next is to Brigadier sir. Anoop talked about spam calls. I think it has gone much beyond that. AI can synthesize your voice and make a call to Sanjeev and get some vital information out. Is there a protocol now in place to prevent such misuse of synthesized voice thing? Thank you.
Yeah, am I audible? Yeah, to come on to the first query that you raised. As far as iDEX is concerned, there is a provision of aligning these winners with investors also. There is a separate scheme which runs. And in case, normally what happens is that the moment a winner is declared, the natural tendency that we have observed is that they normally get the investor because they know that whatever they are going to make tomorrow, the market is there. So normally they get the investors. And if we find that, okay, there are few people who are not able to get the investors, we have launched, in fact, iDEX has launched a recent scheme which is aligning with, the investors so that they can support these startups. So that mechanism has already started. So this was observed only with few of the startups who were in dire state of getting investors for getting that matching contribution. So we are in the process of getting support from the investors for this particular cases. Otherwise, generally the observation is that they normally get the investors because they know that they are aligned with iDEX and they have seen, because there's this particular statement of getting orders for the first, second and third edition itself was a big indication that we are serious. So they know if they are going to become a success story, so there is a market. So normally they get the investors in that particular domain. Wherever there are few cases wherein they don't get investors, iDEX does that mapping with suitable investors. So that has been taken care of.
So very interesting second part of the question, and it is a very pertinent question, big challenge for the armed forces, and there are a large number of attempts being made to gather information by synthesized and open voice response mechanisms that are in place. As of now, we are in the process of developing so-called a centralized solution, but what has gone into a lot is the education of all the formations, the field troops which are there. What is the methodology? A lot of case studies have been brought to the fore where we have educated our people, both institutionalized mechanisms of obtaining information, as also we have sensitized our people to be extremely wary of such attempts which are being made on their personal calls. So major drives in terms of educating our troops, educating our families, our children, who are also largely privy to some of the information with regards the location and other things. So a lot of effort, and it's a very ongoing process, and it's being driven as a very strong key result area. So that is being applied all across the armed forces. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I hope, since we have already run out of time, so is there any questions now? Yeah, you can use.
Yeah. Good morning. This is Sunil Haridas. I'm the founder and CEO at Presna Intelligence, and we are a Industry 4.0 product. So my question is probably to Colonel Sanjeev, because I would like to have a little more elaboration on the milestones, because I think this comes in more like a seeding or a seed level, scheme to me. At least I felt that is the case. But we are a product which is somewhere close to market, access. So we have a ready product, but it requires some level of customization for Industry 4.0 requirements, which you were talking about. So probably we don't need to, continue on all these milestones for, let's say, 2 years, because we have crossed some of those things. We have got funding and those kind of things. So I would like to know, is there a fast track for, such companies which are already, somewhere down the road, but would still like to apply and customize for defense requirements? Thank you.
Yeah. When you talk about iDEX, iDEX is aligned for innovative solutions, which should have a fair amount of time given for a little bit of R&D. There has to be a proof of concept. and the prototype has to develop, and it has to go through the testing phases and all, and finally it gets, you know, into that procurement channel. So if you have generally a ready-made product, generally which has, you know, in terms of technology readiness level, if I say that you have some product which is at TRL 7 stage, possibly that will not get aligned with iDEX. So you should be generally somewhere in, you know, TRL 3 or 4, wherein you have got a proof of concept, and there has to be an innovative content into that. And so that's why that timeline is given. So if you have got already a ready-made product, instead of going through this iDEX route, it becomes more like a sales pitch, right? So if it's like a sales pitch, then you can even directly, you know, reach the armed forces. We can facilitate that. But iDEX journey is meant for startups who have got something innovative, you know, who can address these challenges. And it has to be initially at the stage of TRL 3. That is what we look for. I mean, it should be in a, you know, proof of concept stage, so that we give some more timelines, and accordingly we can give some guidance, and whatever feedback is given to you, accordingly that prototype comes up. Otherwise it's a ready-made product. So iDEX platform is not meant for that. So that is what I wanted to tell. So milestones are basically aligned with that. So there are about 6 milestones in iDEX. So it starts off with milestone 0, which is like a, you know, kickoff tranche being released. It is 10% of the total budget which is allocated. And similarly, what we look for the matching contribution also is similar percentage. We don't want the startups to, you know, bring the complete fund upfront. And when I talked about matching fund contribution, it is not completely in cash. It also has got 3 components. So one is cash, and if something you've already done, you can equate it in terms of in-kind. And if you have done some past expenditure, that also you can include. So it is not upfront or complete cash. So that is the best part of this particular thing. So innovative content, yes. Otherwise, if it's a ready-made solution, then possibly this is not the right channel.
Hello. This is Shri here. I have a question for Colonel Sanjeev. You mentioned that startups can take challenges. I mean, I'm Shri Kumar. I'm from Trabado. We are in the business of making internet safer. So we are into cybersecurity. So we are a group of technical people who have come together for the passion of cybersecurity. And we have hardware, we have software, we have IoT. So looking at the number of challenges, you said it was 28. So is it possible for us to compete in more than one challenge, or is it, or is there a limit, or, I just wanted to know that.
Yeah, interesting question. In fact, if you have got core competence to look into those, all 28 challenges, you can apply for those 28 challenges. There is no hard and fast rule that, which gives out a stipulation that, okay, you can't attempt more number of challenges. But only thing is that at one point of time, you can work on 3 projects. If you're declared as a winner, applying is not an issue, but if you become a winner, you can take maximum 3 challenges. The reason being, because if you are going to take simultaneously 28 challenges, at the end of the day, you won't be able to, develop that thing within that stipulated 24 months. So we feel that, okay, 3 challenges simultaneously, okay, any startup can take on. Beyond that, it is a problem. So what I would advise is that see the 28 challenges, whichever is aligned with your core strength, you apply for that. And if you're declared winner, then you can choose on which you want to pursue. Because even for a single challenge, there can be multiple winners also. That scope is also there in iDEX. Because an attempt made on a particular challenge can come up in different ways. The modality of addressing a particular challenge can be done in different ways. So there could be multiple winners also for a particular challenge. No, they won't be working together. So if you feel that, okay, you want to work together, then you can make an entity of yours. You can have multiple founders there. You make a single entity and apply for it. If you have got like-minded people amongst you, you can do that. And when I spoke about individual innovators also, you can apply as an individual innovator. But if you're declared as a winner, then that individual innovator has to raise a startup. Because we want defense entrepreneurs at the end of the day. You would apply as an individual innovator, but if you become a winner, you have to open a startup. You have to register a startup and then start the journey.
I hope no more questions are there. Yeah, just to make a note, just outside this hall, we have the exhibition space where we have around 10 startup companies who have come up with this stall for showcasing their products, basically in line with DISC theme. So I would suggest like before going, just step into the stall and understand about the products. Before we move on to the vote of thanks, may I request now both Colonel, now Mr. Anoop is not there, Colonel Sanjeev Nair, to present a token of remembrance on behalf of Kerala IT to our Chief Guest, Brigadier Lalit Sharma, Shaurya Chakra, Sena Medal. Brigadier has informed now like he would like to give a token of love to Colonel Sanjeev Nair. Thank you, sir. So I'm sure this iDEX outreach session would have been very informative to our startups, IT companies and innovators. To express our deep gratitude to the speakers and participants, I would invite Shri Manjit Cherian, Chief Marketing Officer, Kerala IT Parks, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It has been a real honor and privilege to have had Brigadier Lalit Sharma, SM Commander 91 Infantry Brigade, amongst us today for the outreach session on DIS 9 under the iDEX scheme MOD. So without further ado, let me first thank him on behalf of all of us here today in gracing us with his presence. Thank you, sir. I'm sure your insights have been well received by everyone present here. I would also like to thank our CEO, Shri Sanjeev Nair, in ensuring this event happened. Also would like to say thank you and special mentions to Mr. Anoop Ambika, CEO, Kerala Startup Mission, Mrs. Lakshmi Das, co-founder and CEO of Prophaze, Dr. Sorav Bansal, iDEX winner and Microsoft Chair Professor CSE IIT Delhi, Shri K. Rajaguru Nathan, iDEX winner and CEO of Astromeda, and to all the officers here, IT and ITES companies, individual innovators and academics that are present here from our parks ecosystem. I would also like to take this time in thanking all the CEOs and officials within all the companies within our park in encouraging their employees to attend this fascinating and purposeful session today. Last but not least, thank you to all our media and PR partners and CDIT in helping us cover this event, and to all the Technopark staff in ensuring today's event went smoothly and successfully. Thank you to Vasant, who has been our suave MC for the day. Once again, thank you all and have a great day. Kindly requesting you all, not only just to visit all our stalls outside, but for refreshments which are being served just outside this hall. Thank you.